In this last study guide, we will look at processes, technologies, and issues after the administration of assessment. We will also discuss practices and standards on e-examination marking, feedback, and appeals. We can look at norm-referenced, criterion-referenced, and ipsative assessment as different ways to interpret the scores of an e-examination. In a norm-reference assessment, the scores are compared with the scores of other examinees that are considered to be part of the same population. In a criterion reference assessment, the score is measured against cut scores that indicates whether an expected outcome had been achieved. In other words, the scores are compared against criteria. In an ipsative assessment, scores in an examination is compared against past scores of the examinee in other examinations measuring the same competency. One can also design a marking system in terms of compensatory or conjunctive scoring models. In a compensatory scoring model, the strong performance of an examinee in one dimension of the exam can compensate for weaker performance in another dimension. In a conjunctive scoring model, the examinee must pass a performance level in each dimension to pass the examination. Whatever model or approach is used to design the marking system, it is recommended that examinees are informed of the system as it may influence their assessment strategy. This section is divided into e-examination practices for automated scoring and open-ended responses. Automated scoring is applied to question types like multiple-choice questions, true or false, and short text answer or fill-in-the-blanks and gap-fill exercises. The scoring of open-ended responses like essays are done by human markers. Nevertheless, this section will also look at services and software available for automated essay scoring. Automatic scoring is one of the primary benefits of instituting an e-examination system. This does not mean that we can leave all scoring decisions to the machine. Time saved from not using human markers must be invested in the design of the scoring rules and methods before the examination. The ISO IEC 23988 International Standard on E-Assessment states that software used for scoring candidate responses should be designed to support pedagogical decisions on the scoring rules, especially in relation to the following. In practice, setting the pass mark may be done in an e-examination in the following ways you see on screen. The MOOC documentation describes their CBM implementation this way. With CBM, the students do not only answer the question, but they also indicate how sure they are that they got the question right. The grading is adjusted by the choice of certainty, so that students have to reflect honestly on their own level of knowledge in order to get the best mark. The screenshot of a MOOC quiz with CBM questions on screen displays a row of radio buttons for certainty level. Rubrics are the most common tools for markers and assessors of open-ended submissions like essay exams and portfolios. The items or criteria in rubrics are aligned with the learning objectives, but the levels of performance is more or less an art form. So it is highly recommended that rubrics are field tested before use. Rubrics are expected to be displayed to the students before the assessment so that they can use an appropriate and efficient assessment strategy. Open-ended responses like the text box question type in Rogo and the essay question type in MOODeL are scored manually by human markers, and one issue will be the reliability of these markers. One way to ensure fairness is to institute policies for double marking. Feedback is extremely important in formative assessment and all forms of assessment for learning. Many of the sample guiding principles in the first study guide state the best practices for feedback. There are many levels of feedback that can be automatically be given to the candidate. The level of feedback may be any of these three you see on screen. E-examination software systems usually have frequency analysis and discrimination analysis reports after an examination. These reports should be used to review the questions and exclude questions that are either gotten correct by all candidates or questions that had been gotten correct by a very small number of candidates. The cutoff will have to be decided by the authors of the question or the paper. The advantage of analyzing e-examination questions is that we can analyze all questions at a click of a button. Paper-based exams usually sample the papers for question analysis. For writing assignments and essay examinations, a big problem is plagiarism. The main technology solution is to subscribe to an anti-plagiarism software service like Turnitin. The reports of the anti-plagiarism software can be used to reject submission by students within a certain threshold of possible plagiarism, or it can be used by human marker as a guide for determining plagiarism. Go over the University of New South Wales Toolkit page on reducing plagiarism for further information on non-technical solutions. The final task is to evaluate all the data from the assessment for the purpose of revising the assessment instrument itself, and you may do so based on the following. This guide discusses post-assessment tasks such as marking, feedback, and appeal. Please take note again that there will be trade-offs in selecting types of assessments for distance education. Preparing instructions for essays and e-portfolios may be easier than e-examinations, but e-examinations are easier to automark than open-ended tasks. Thus, when preparing assessment frameworks and toolkits, you should consider the interrelation between the phases of the assessment process.